Good morning, guys. Welcome back to another video. As you probably know already, this week I'm back in Portugal playing another UTR PTT on the grind. So far, I've won my first match against a very tough opponent, a 12-7 UTR, one of my biggest wins of the year. And so, after that, there was actually, a pretty bad rain delay. And the first day of the week was actually my day off. So I'm going to have to play 2 matches today, which is going to be a grind. It's full 3 sets for both matches. And yeah, it's going to be tough because the players that I'm playing against are 2 of the toughest players in the tournament. They're both above a 13 UTR. I think one of them's a 13-2 and the other one is a 13-5, I think. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one, but I'm heading to the club now. I've just had breakfast, smashed it. Some muesli with a shitload of honey, and then just to get my energy levels up and make sure that I'm not too full of food, but I've got enough energy to actually play. And that's going to be the key today. It's all going to be about sustaining energy, getting my energy levels up and making sure that I'm not having any big dips really. So yeah, I'm on my way to the club now. I'm just walking there. The accommodation's really close. It's like a 5-minute walk, and then I'm gonna get in the gym, get physical, start warming up, get a coffee 100%, and then get ready to play my match. So yeah, see you guys there.
Long story short, I couldn't find a warm-up. Believe it or not, you're at a tennis tournament full of tennis players, and it's actually hard to find someone to hit with. But it was 7:30 in the morning, so can't blame them. And to be honest, as I had 2 matches, I actually think the no warm-up was a good thing, because then I'd have a little bit more energy to put into the matches. So I spent a good 45 minutes in the gym just getting really physical, just prepping the body for a big fight. As I said in the previous video, if I don't do well here, then I won't earn much money and I won't be able to afford playing futures for the rest of the year. If that happens, I'll be gutted. I've put a lot of work in to get my game to a really good place, and I've fought through a lot of matches in these UTRs. So I at least want to give myself the chance to play for some more ATP points before the end of the season. I normally have 2 coffees before I play, but I guess one will have to do. So I've had a few questions recently from you guys about the equipment that I use. So I thought that this would be a great time to show you. And also say a massive thank you to my sponsor, All Things Tennis, who supply me with these beauties. I've attached links to everything that I use in the description below. You can find everything on the All Things Tennis website. And just to be clear, it's not an affiliate link, so I don't earn any money from it. It's just to show you guys what I use. Anyway, let's get into some tennis. What we're here to do. So my first match of the day was against Sebastian Fanzolo. He has a career-high ATP ranking of 270 and currently sits at a 13-2 UTR. With the amount of experience that he has as a player and his current form, this one was going to be a tough one. Probably one of the toughest matches that I was going to have to play all year. The big focus for me in this match was going to be staying aggressive. If I let my opponent play, he was just going to be too good. I had to look for ways to attack him. Early on in the match, he'd set the tone of taking the ball very early, putting a lot of pressure on me. And sometimes I was just hanging in there fighting, but I knew that this wasn't going to be enough to win me the match. I had to step up and really pressure him. So any chance I got to take the ball early and move in, that's what I did. In my opinion, my opponent had a pretty complete game. As I was playing him, I could really see why he'd achieved the ranking of being 270 in the world. He was constantly pressuring me with taking very little risk, and he was very clinical at the net. Normally, I feel quite comfortable passing people or having a shot to hit on the run, but he was moving in so early and his positioning at the net was very good. Again, when you play the players that have been at a higher level, you just really can't afford to let them play. A shot that I have that I feel really troubles my opponents is my serve. I've got a lot of confidence in it, and when I was a kid, it was probably the shot that I practiced the most. It really helps me to hang in these tough matches, gives me a lot of free points, and I feel on average it takes quite a lot to break me. And midway through this first set, I felt like I was doing all the right things. I was right there. But at this level, it's such fine margins. 1 or 2 points can really shift the momentum. The break had definitely given my opponent a bit of a confidence boost, and it was hard to deny that he was playing very good tennis. But I've battled through too many matches this year to be put off by a break. So I was going to dig in and fight and see if I could make something happen. And yes, the dude in the background with the chainsaw was really pissing me off. He'd been at it for about an hour and sounded like he was cutting down the Amazon rainforest. And I was trying to use that frustration in a good way, channel it into the game. I knew that if I could get a hold here and make my opponent serve out the first set, there's always the chance that they feel the pressure. It's impossible to deny that it's there. Sometimes all you have to do is make them play a few more shots and show them that you're up for it. So I managed to claw my way back into this first set, and I started to hit my spots with a lot of confidence. I really felt like the momentum was with me. Even though I didn't get the break at 6-5, I still felt great heading into the tiebreak, and I got the ideal start. I set the tone early that I was there to win it. An uncharacteristic error from my opponent earned me the mini break. And from there, I was rolling. My thoughts were just keep going after it, keep playing with that real positive intention. And I was doing my best to cut out the noise of the lumberjack in the background. Before 5-2, I was playing in a little bit more of a flow state. And this is where I started to think about things a little bit too much. I didn't want to get passive, and I wanted to stay aggressive. But I think looking back at these 2 points on my serve, I definitely forced plays that just weren't on. And my opponent was there, rock solid. Sometimes just those extra nerves can make a subtle difference. At 5-all, I still fully believed that I could win the set. But I then tried to be a little bit more solid, and ended up missing. And then ended up hitting a double fault on set point, which I was really annoyed about. To be honest, it was a bit of a roller coaster of a first set. Initially, I was really pissed off for losing it, but then I was just thinking to myself that I was a break down twice, and I managed to fight back. Now I'm a set down with a very tough mountain to climb, but it's still possible. Tennis is a big mental game. Sometimes sticking in there, fighting, sends a big message to your opponent. Although the first set was pretty long, my energy levels felt pretty good. I wouldn't say that I could easily play another 2 sets, but I felt like I could definitely push my body to do it. And the guy with the chainsaw was back. Surprised there were any trees left in Portugal. At these events, sometimes there's so much going on outside of the court. So much noise or weather conditions, wind, etc. I think something that's really helped me to win more matches in the last few months is becoming far more resilient to all of the distractions. It's something that I've worked on in training, and although it's not been perfect, I've been able to lock in far more and actually perform a lot better. So in the second set, I actually decided to make a little bit of a tactical change. I started to bring out the slice. My opponent was really targeting my backhand, as most players do, so I wanted to keep the ball low and harder to pick up. And then when the time was right and the ball was sat up, go after it. And this tactic was really starting to work for me. I think that it's such an effective play because the slice for me isn't really a physical shot. It doesn't take much energy for me to hit it. But I know from dealing with a good slice, getting low and constantly having to rip up the back of the ball is hard work. And it's a great way for me to extend the rallies without becoming really passive. So in the second set, I did manage to go up a break really early on. And I was really starting to feel like I was a few points away from really putting something together in this second set. I just had to fight through this service game at 2-1, get through it. But my opponent was relentless. Anything that wasn't put past him, he was making me play. And anytime I felt like I was getting anywhere, he just snatched the momentum straight back. And although I didn't show many signs of frustration or the pressure getting to me, neither did my opponent. He was pretty rock solid. The start of this second set was an absolute battle. We were both just back and forth at deuce, earning and saving break points. I felt like we were both on the verge of getting ahead. Unfortunately, at 3-2, I just couldn't hold on to my serve. My opponent was relentless, and he came out clutch, threading the needle on a few passes. And all of a sudden, in this second set, there was a big gap between us. But, you know, I know what's at stake. I know what I'm playing for. If I want to play more futures and get more ATP points, I need to earn the money. I need to win the matches here. So there was no chance that I was going to throw in the towel. I had to keep trying to find a way. Often when a player breaks, there can be a chance in the next game to get the break back. And that's what I was holding out for. Just keeping that slice as low as I could. Going down the middle if I had to. Just using that slice to maneuver the ball around and wait for my chance to hit through one. Sometimes I was having to wait 10, 15 shots for the right ball. But this is what it takes at this level. And you have to be able to do this, point in, point out. It was crazy how many chances I was earning to get back to level or even take the lead. But like I said before, every time I felt like I had an opportunity, I almost didn't get to play the point that I wanted to. After having chances to break, obviously I was gutted to go 5-2 down. But my thought at this stage was, look what happened in the first set. I was 5-3 down and managed to bring it back to a set tiebreak. So I was just going to do my thing and hang in there. For me, in these matches, I have the mindset that even if I don't win the match, as long as I've fought hard, stayed mentally in it, then in the future, I'm going to be able to turn more of these matches around. I never really think of a match as a wasted opportunity anymore. I know that all the hard work I'm putting in is going to pay dividends at some point. If not today, then the next week or the week after that. So unfortunately, I couldn't get back into this match, but big congratulations to my opponent. He played very high level, deserved to win. And to be honest, I wasn't too unhappy with my performance. I just had to refocus and prepare for my next match.
That match was pretty brutal. I thought I played well. I thought that, you know, I did well to hang in there. I was fighting well. I just think that, you know, in those like kind of bigger pressure moments, like when I was 5-2 up in the breaker, I just think that I maybe pushed a little bit too hard, you know, trying not to get passive, and just ended up making more mistakes, you know, maybe like kind of rushing into the net a little bit and kind of putting myself in a bit of a tricky situation. It felt like the right thing to do, but then I lost the point. So, you know, and then from there, he got his confidence back a little bit, got momentum, and then, you know, won the set. And I think that in the second set, it was, you know, more of me kind of giving away a few cheap points, trying to get back into the match. And apart from some of the pressure moments, I feel like my game in general, you know, is feeling pretty good. I think it's looking pretty good. Like, you know, I'm using my slice really effectively, serving well, you know, going after it as well. You know, managing to mix up the pace and the tempo pretty effectively. You know, I think as a kind of base layer of consistency, you know, I'm doing pretty well. I feel like I'm, you know, improving a lot. And, you know, these matches are great because they're almost like a stepping stone for the futures. You know, I don't want to say they're practice because, you know, they're not. I want to win. Almost getting me used to those pressure situations so that when I go into a futures, because, you know, I'm not playing many futures at the minute, you know, it's making sure that when I do go into futures, I'm feeling as match tight as possible, you know, match fit, you know, and, you know, I'm able to take those chances when they come about. So I think that's why these matches are so important. And yeah, I feel like if I did maybe a few things differently, fucking hell, construction going on here, like knocking a building down. Yeah, I feel like if I do a few things differently, the match turns out a bit better. So I've got another match today, I've got to get prepared, and I've got to eat something. Because I'm playing another match and it's not actually a long time, you know, before I play, I've got to eat something pretty light with a lot of calories. So I'm going to go for a classic ham and cheese sandwich, and then also some honey sandwiches as well. I did actually buy some choppy milk, which is unbelievable for recovery. You know, it's just like sugar and fat and a bit of protein. You know, as I'm playing 2 matches and playing so much tennis, burning a lot of calories, it doesn't really matter what I have. I just think that if I can get enough calories and, you know, it's not taking up too much room in my stomach, not taking up too much time to, you know, digest and, you know, potentially, limit my recovery for a match. I think that's like important. So I'm just gonna smash this now. That's unbelievable. So I've just nailed a load of sandwiches and some chalky milk. I would understand if, you guys thought I was like super unprofessional doing that, but I'm playing another match, very shortly. It's just about getting calories back in, easy calories that aren't gonna, take up too much room. Situation with the body, it's not unbelievable, to be honest. I'm a little bit tired. That was like 2 hours, 10 minutes, for the match. So it wasn't a short match, and it was pretty intense. So, I'm gonna go out there, give it my best, try and fight, get through it, and give myself a better chance of earning some more cash, which is what it's all about. But yeah, let's do it. So I was actually going to string one myself and save myself a bit of cash, but I'm actually feeling pretty tired, and I think that, it'll be a better investment for me to actually pay for a stringing job. It's 20 euros, but I'm just thinking that if I want a chance of actually winning the match, I need to actually go and rest and just kind of, get back my energy a little bit, do some mobility as well, and obviously a coffee.
So I handed my bat in, and I think this was a smart move because I don't think my back was going to thank me if I was stringing and then playing 2 matches. Then ordered my coffee, need a bit of a boost before the match, and I love the coffee in Portugal. And then started to prepare mentally for my second match of the day. And to be honest, I was feeling really good. The only thing that was bothering me, my socks weren't dry. Tennis players out there can relate. Me and laundry is just a constant battle, and one that I'm losing. So my opponent in the second match of the day was Thiago Casal, a 13-4-7 UTR with a career high of 395 in the world. These matches just don't get any easier. He was a slightly different game style to my previous opponent, really solid from the baseline, great mover, and a very heavy forehand. I felt from the off that this match was going to be far more physical. The movement was a lot more intense. I felt like my opponent probably wasn't going to come forward as much as the guy that I played first, but he was going to be a little bit more relentless from the baseline and harder to get the ball past. Early on, he was just defending so well. It's crazy how you can play 2 different opponents on the same court and the matches can feel completely different. This match was going to really test my patience. It would actually be very easy to get sucked into trying to play too well or overhitting, but the key was to keep the discipline and try to gradually outwork my opponent. But it was tough. Early on, he was making me play so many balls. I was barely getting any cheap points behind my serve. And I feel like that's so important, especially early on with the new balls. When they're fast and lively, I really like to try and roll through my service games. But instead, I was straight into 20 or 30 shot rallies, just desperate for a chance to take the ball on. Learning from the previous match, I started to add in the slice a little bit, just to mix up the pace and open up the court. And because my opponent was stood a lot further back, I actually took a little bit of pace off my first serve to try and get a little bit more angle to move him even further. But early on, like I said before, my opponent was pretty relentless. I had to fend off 4 break points in the first 2 games alone. Earlier on in my first match, it felt like I didn't have much time to recover in between shots. It felt like the ball was just back onto me straight away. But in this match, it was different. My opponent was using far more angles, trying to move me a lot further off the court. Even though I didn't feel as troubled for time, I was having to just cover way more court, and it was starting to get physical. So I was trying to make sure that I was keeping the points as short as possible when I could. After playing quite a physical first match, I wanted to be as efficient as I could with my energy and save it for the big points, where I'd probably have to be a little bit more disciplined and play with a little bit more margin. I remember looking at the balls at this point in the match, and they were already torn to shreds. The rallies were so long, intense, and my opponent was just ripping the ball, especially on his forehand. And I was just doing what I could to break out of those long exchanges. And I had no idea where this guy with the chainsaw was getting all of his wood from. He'd been at it all day, and it just seemed to get louder whenever we got to a big point. Or that's how it felt, anyway. I know that you've probably heard every tennis player ever say this, but I felt like the first set was a lot closer than the scoreline suggested. I was very close to hanging on to a lot of my service games. A few points here and there can make a massive difference. At this level, the margins are small, but my opponent was pretty rock solid, a player that definitely doesn't give you anything. You have to go out there and beat him. And by now, you guys know me, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to stick in, fight, and see what happens. These matches can be long, and there's time to turn things around. I said to myself at the start of the second set that I was going to go after my forehand a little bit more. Maybe not with more pace, but change the direction a little bit more, and try to get my opponent moving. I was trying not to let him hit the same shot twice, and I even threw in a few rogue drop shots, but it was working. I figured out he was very good at moving laterally, defending along the baseline, so I was going to try and pull him off the baseline, either push him back or try and use that short slice to bring him forward. And of course, bomb the serve down. And these patterns were really starting to work for me. That short slice was allowing me to attack and stay up on the baseline without taking much risk. So in the second set, I got off to a great start. I was feeling good, feeling pretty confident. Now, it was all about sustaining that level. And I felt like the intensity from the other side of the court had increased. I feel like this game was pivotal. I just had to stay disciplined. Unfortunately, just couldn't hold on to my serve. I felt like I played a great game, but my opponent was just too solid, feeding off my errors. He was just always there to put the balls in the court and make it tough. But on his serve at 2-1, I still had chances. And then this was probably one of the craziest points I've ever played. I have no idea how I won that point, but it still wasn't enough to get the job done and get the break. You can see how hard it is out here. Guys are just fighting. It's funny because in between some of these points, I was thinking to myself, the level is just crazy. There were so many other rallies that could have made this video, but it would have been about 2 hours long. And I was also thinking to myself, it's mad how much my level has improved since the start of the year. How much more confident I am now as a player, and the different level of focus that I have. To me, I genuinely feel like I can start beating these players at some point. It's just going to take a little bit more hard work. I think going forward, I'm definitely going to try and use my slice a little bit more. In the off season, I think I'm 100% going to work on it and making it a pretty permanent part of my game. This week, I've really seen what trouble it can cause my opponents. Changing the rhythm, the height of the ball, making them hit up, giving me more time to then attack. And also using it as a way to approach. I thought to myself at 3-all, the key here is to not overplay. What I was doing was effective. It was just about staying disciplined and patient and just working the point with my slice. I was naturally getting the opportunities to take the ball on. It was just about being solid enough until the opportunity came about. At this point, I kind of thought to myself that I was actually really happy with the way that things were going. Even though I was losing, I was just very happy with the level that I was able to produce. And I was doing it consistently. I thought that if I could put this performance out consistently, then it won't be long before I'm picking up more points. I mean, realistically, my opponent is playing about 400 in the world level tennis. He's a seriously good player. And for the majority of this match, it felt like we were neck and neck. So at 4-3, I actually played a really solid game and had a chance to break. And I actually thought that first ball on my backhand side was out, but these things just happen. 1 or 2 calls over the course of a match doesn't really make a big difference, even though at the time it's so frustrating. At 4-all, I was definitely starting to feel the physical effects of playing 2 matches. Just tightness. It's such a physical game. Being a good athlete and getting your recovery in is a massive part of it. Unfortunately, just couldn't hold on at 4-all, gave away the break, and at 5-4, my opponent was serving for the match. I knew that if I was going to have any chance of getting back into this match, I was probably going to have to play a little bit bigger. So I started to let a few forehands go. But in the end, it just wasn't enough. I ended up losing the match 6-2, 6-4 to a very good opponent. Obviously, congratulations to him. He actually went on to win the event. As for me, I still had 1 more match to play in the group stage. 1 more chance to earn some more cash. If I could win it, it would mean that I would come 3rd in the group and I'd be able to earn enough money to go and play a futures the next week. But my opponent wasn't easy. Coming up next time, I take on former world number 62 and now the over 40s world number 1, Federico Gil.